Bum, bum, bum,
Also, heads up, 12 days until Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. Yeah.
I've been busying myself with the DLC and the expansion for Animal Crossing. So
is it as good as people are saying? Because it's made quite a splash on the interweb.
It's so fun. So you go to the airport and you take a plane to work.
Let's go to
work. And you go to work for this otter named Lottie, and then there's like this other frog and this other like behemoth. But like you pretty much, it's like a place where all of the villagers are vacationing, and you have to design their little houses, their vacation villas. And they'll reward you based on if you use the right items.
Oh.
There's like 3 items that they request and that are already pre-planted in the house in crates. And then like, sorry if I'm explaining something you already know.
Well, I don't know it fully, so this is okay. I haven't played Animal Crossing in like 8 months, so
embarrassing.
I know. I play a lot of games, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, spread yourself kind of thin.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. She's busy. So you pretty much just like make their little homes out of things that are like preset, and that's the thing about the game is that you don't have to like bust your ass to get bells to buy all this shit, and you don't have to bust your ass to like DIY all this shit out of like wood. So it's already pre-planted in like this little list of things you can sort of select from. And the idea, I believe, is that once if they're like super happy, they pay you in, I want to say, I forget the name that they've used, Kells.
Okay.
There's like a different currency on this vacation island. And inside work, the main hub of the vacation center, you can use the new currency to purchase, excuse me.
That's okay.
This maple coffee, you can use that to purchase new items. So I've already
like a different currency.
Yeah, so I've purchased like weirdly a stack of chocolate, a public telephone that's pink. It's so stupid. A different full-length mirror that's not made out of wood, and then a tree, an ash tree. And I didn't know this, and I thought that you could only do this. You know how they were showing us, like, on the direct, they're showing us vines and ladders that you could put on the sides of the cliffs? I thought that you could only get those by going on the boat with Captain to these new little islands that you'd explore, but you can straight up pull them off the cliffs on the vacation island and bring them home with you.
And then set up the vines. Can you climb the vines or just the ladders?
You can climb the vines.
Oh, bitch. We're having our Tarzan fantasy.
Oh, yeah. It is going to be like full Kingdom Hearts Tarzan level on my island pretty soon. That's what I should do. Like, I really wanted to have a Stardew Valley island, but I think I'm just going to do a Disney island.
I'm fully okay with that. Kingdom Hearts, yeah. Kingdom Hearts Disney derivative realness.
Yes.
Welcome to the Full Volume Podcast.
Like, is she going to do it? Yeah.
I am your co-host, Harvey Brent, and joined with me is...
your other co-host, Jolie.
What's up? And today we're bringing it back retro to the early days of the podcast. You might remember that we had an unhealthy, borderline sociopathic, some might say, obsession with Evan Peters. And as we wait for Hawkeye to come out in 17 days, we decided to maybe just take a look into Evan Peters' filmography, specifically his roles in American Horror Story. And we decided, since many of you wrote in last week to tell us how much you loved our tier list for the MCU films, we are going to do a tiered list of Evan Peters' roles in American Horror Story, because believe me, there are a lot of them. Sometimes more than one per season.
Yes. I had to go back and rewatch to do research for this tier list. Briefly, not whole episodes, but it's insane the amount of appearances he's had in the show, and
the boy's range. His range, Jolie.
I don't know. We should just jump right into this, bitch.
Okay.
Because this will also be borderline sexual harassment for the next 20 minutes. We're also going to break it up the way we did the MCU list, 20-ish minutes, but we're going to stop. We're going to stop halfway through, and then you'll have to partake in part 2 of our ultimate Evan Peters AHS character tier list. So,
and if you haven't watched American Horror Story, this might be a good incentive to get you to watch it, because it's going to be lots of acting, lots of range, lots of butts. It'll be good. You'll learn something new, and you'll learn about the world of American Horror Story through gay visionary Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, and while I struggle to figure out, there we go, how to share. Can you see it?
Not there. It is. I see it.
All right. Okay.
So did you make this tier list, or did this you had just Googled it?
I made this tier list because every tier list I had been looking for, because I knew Harvey, Brent, and I were going to do this. Every tier list I found stopped at Apocalypse for some reason. I mean, not for some reason, for very good reasons. It just stopped at certain points. And also, I found the photos terrible. So I curated my own.
I was going to say, I like the photos you've chosen down below. I like specifically the murder house one is great.
Yeah, you have to be able to, in my opinion, you have to be able to look at the photo and go, that's,
Yeah, there's no mistaking what that is.
Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also, and some people might think that this is a mistake, but I don't think that it is. I also grouped his cult leaders / quote serial killers in one.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that, only because they only appear one per episode, and it's what? No, very good call on that, I think.
Yeah, because then we'll be here forever, spinning our wheels about true crime, and that, my friends, is a different podcast.
Speaking of true crime, before we get started, have you heard of the show Only Murders in the Building?
Yes.
It's so good.
Liv, Steve
Martin Short.
Martin Short.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez. Who'd have thought?
Yeah. It got renewed for a season 2. I'm excited. Okay. Anyways, whoa.
Do you not see this coat? I'm walking. After that line, sorry, I just had to bust that out. After that line, I was like, I love you, Martin Short.
He is a ball of energy, that one.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so I think we should probably go in order, right? So very Evan Peters' first character, it was his breakout role, not only in American Horror Story, but arguably in film as well. The only notable acting credit he had before American Horror Story was Kick-Ass. He was briefly in Kick-Ass. But he had his first big break in the first season of American Horror Story. So the first season from 2011 is American Horror Story Murder House.
Murder House.
So Evan Peters plays the character of Tate Langdon, who basically Murder House is about a family that moves into this house that's haunted. Trying to start a new life. There's a lot of family drama. There's infidelity. There's a miscarriage, et cetera, et cetera. And they move into this house, and the therapist, played by Dylan McDermott, starts meeting with a disturbed boy, played by Evan Peters, Tate Langdon. We find out as the season goes on that not only is he a mass murderer, he was a high school shooter, but he's also a dead ghost that lives in the house that this family is living in. And so it's weird. This one's weird because I think this is probably his most iconic performance still, although he's had a lot of incredible characters since Murder House. But I think a lot of people think that Tate Langdon is iconic. He appeals to the emo tween, fanboy fangirl base for sure. His acting is incredible in it. He plays this disturbed but like subdued boy very, very well. Mm-hmm. So I think for Tate Langdon, I think I hate to start off on a high note, but I think he might be an S tier.
Yeah, that's exactly where I would put him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
thoughts.
I just the levels. I think this is like probably, like you said, his most involved character. He was truly, he wasn't like the lead, but he was one of the leads.
He was the breakout.
Yeah, and we find out later in the season, again, okay, do you know what? This may get you to watch American Horror Story, tangent, but like adjacent tangent. We're going to spoil things. So.
Oh, yeah. I was like kind of walking that line. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, if you don't want, are you, so if you're okay with spoilers, I'm okay with spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're going to spoil things. So we are currently at the 12 moment mark. Turn off if you don't want to hear things get spoiled, because we're going to go in. We're going to go in. Oh, non-adjacent tangent, but like semi-adjacent tangent. The reason why we're doing Evan Peters is because we select actors who are Marvel adjacent, and as we know, Evan Peters was Quicksilver. Okay,
he's truly the definition of Marvel adjacent in this case, because they brought him in from the Fox films.
Yeah,
in a very like meta role.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
I'm disappointed about, but also I'm like, ooh, Marvel, you tricky bitch.
You tricky, fickle queen.
What? Like, honestly, that's like some Taika Waititi shit.
Yeah.
And I'm here. Okay. Tate Langdon. Okay. Truly, 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 I loved this character. Probably super evil. Like,
oh yeah,
right? so many layers of a persona, and he played them all very well. You like wanted to feel bad for him. You find out he's a ghost, and that he's like kind of lying about what he does in the house, and you're still like, no, I like him.
Who hurt you, Tate? Who hurt you?
Yeah, and then you find out Tate is like hurting people, and you're just like, how can I reconcile these feelings about my boyfriend hurting people? I don't know.
This stirs up, like, we're putting him in S tier because it is such like a complex, nuanced, conflicting role. But Tate Langdon as a human being is incredibly problematic. And the fact that a lot of women and men idolize him still, regardless of the fact that how problematic he is. I'm like, oh, this is why we have like, fucked up relationships in the world and stuff. Like, he's the definition of, I don't want to say definition of an abuser, but he's a definition of a toxic man.
Yes.
He is. But it's just the performance and the pervasiveness of this character. And let's not forget, Tate Langdon, he is in Murder House season 1, but Tate Langdon comes back in season 8, Apocalypse, for one episode. And granted, I think the writers tried to redeem him like a little bit to make him a little bit more likable. But I think it's also important to note that without Tate Langdon, we wouldn't have season 8 because he ends up having sex with Connie Britton to give birth to the devil, who is the character in season 8. So he's making moves. He is pervasive in AHS. He's almost the poster child for American Horror Story. So S tier it is for Tate.
Oh yes. The long game was played. All right. So
yes.
Moving on to Kit Walker. Kit Walker is
season 2.
Yeah, season 2. Asylum.
American Horror Story Asylum. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, the idea about Asylum is that everyone is in a facility, and he is one of them. He is also, you find out throughout the season that the reason why he's there is because, oh boy, he's a serial killer.
Fancy that. Imagine.
Well, shoot. I mean,
or is he though? Or is he?
Right? Because he keeps having these. He has a relationship with another inmate that's inside the asylum. He's the main story doesn't revolve around him, but he is one of the stories that we kind of circle about. There's like a plot to escape later between him and 2 other people inside the asylum, which is, it feels like his character and, oh my gosh, I forget her name, Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
And Sarah Paulson's characters, because they play so well in the AHS sandbox, their characters kind of are related all the time. Yeah, so her character, they befriend each other. But all the while, whenever we focus on the Kit character, you see kind of flashbacks of his trauma, right?
Yeah.
That he may have been, he may have been witness to the death of his family. And then you find out that he, in fact, killed his family. Correct?
I think, hold on. I thought he was wrongfully convicted.
Was he?
I thought that he was in a relationship with Alma, and then there's aliens involved. Hold on. This is important to figure out now because I'm not sure. Let's see.
And Alma is Sarah Paulson's character?
No, Alma's a minor character. She was like, remember they lived in a farmhouse together, and like it was in the 60s, and so there was a lot of like hubbub because she was black and he was white. I thought the aliens abducted Alma. He didn't kill her, but he was wrongfully accused of killing her, which is why he was put in the asylum.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I think I'm onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the end, he gets abducted and then without a trace, and then no one knows where he's gone.
Which, like, jealous. Okay. Get me off this planet.
Okay.
So Kit Walker, it's weird because he doesn't have as much damage as Tate Langdon. At first he has perceived damage. You think he's like this murdering mass maniac, but he actually isn't. He's a big old softie. He kind of falls in that typical role of white male savior. We can band together and get out of here. That kind of thing. It's still a great role, and there's still like I said, there's the whole like nuance with him being in an interracial relationship in the 60s, and how that affected him and his family, and the fact that he was wrongfully accused of the death of his wife Alma. I think Kit Walker gets probably an A or a B tier. I'm just trying to find out where, because it's a bit of a straight-laced role.
Yeah.
You do see his butt, so maybe it's A tier, A for ass. Yeah.
What does it be for?
For butt. It's hovering right on the crack. Pun.
Oh, brother.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of points for and against. I'm looking at the bottom there. I think he's B.
B? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's B. It's good.
There's something about him playing like there's just something nice about him playing a character that like I don't have to hate or I don't have to consider reasons why I shouldn't love him.
Yeah, it's just like when it comes down to it, though, I feel like I'm like, okay, if I wanted to have an entertaining dinner party, would I invite Tate Langdon or would I invite Kit Walker? Like, if I wanted drama, I would go to Tate.
Right, but then are you having a murder mystery themed dinner party?
That's beside the fact. I'm sure it would devolve quickly into carnage. But I'm just saying, if I wanted to be entertained, I would invite Tate. And Kit would just be polite and he would be nice, and that that's not really fun dinner party material. Drama.
I hate to say it, yeah.
Okay. Next is season 3, which is American Horror Story Coven.
Ooh boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is
the favorite. It's the favorite of the gays.
Really?
They love Coven. It's camp. It's witchy. It's female centric. But maybe not. Sorry. Let me scale back a bit. This season is the favorite of most gays. I don't think the character that Evan Peters plays is the favorite. Mm-hmm. But it's still, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm prefacing with that. He plays Kyle Spencer, who is a frat boy that sees and tries to stop the rape of Emma Roberts' character, fails, and Emma Roberts, out of revenge, sees a tour bus of frat guys driving away, and she flips the bus upside down and crushes it, killing Evan Peters in the first episode. And then he gets revived by Thaisa Farmiga and Emma Roberts, and so he's basically a Frankenstein version of himself. Kind of a lover boy, male love slave role. It's interesting in the sense he's got a lot of what do you call this? What do you call that kind of acting where it's like a lot, not physical comedy, but like he has a very physically demanding role because he can't communicate in season 3. He's kind of like an undead zombie for a lot of it. And so it's a lot of like grunts and, aggressive movements and stuff. So I think this is an interesting role for him. Does it have an arc? No arc. But it's a good role. Like it's, well, should I say? Yeah, it's decent. It's not bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, so if we put Kyle Spencer here, because if we put him there, it's not as good as his asylum role and his murder house role.
No,
but it's the acting, I would say, is a challenge. But are we basing this on acting? A little, but
a little bit. Again, if I base this counterpoint, if I base this on who I wanted to invite to a dinner party, I would want to invite him over Kit Walker because again, the drama of having this like undead zombie throw things around and get aggressive and again show his butt. I don't think, like, when I think C, though, I think meh. I think it's slightly better than meh.
What if we put Kit Walker here and Kyle Spencer here?
That looks right to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a C tier performance. I also left out F, by the way. Because
that doesn't exist in Evan Peters' world, no.
No.
He's incredible.
A D may barely fit. But anyway, I considered leaving the D out too.
You're like, they're all iconic roles. No, I like this. I think that makes sense. And like I said, things going against him is he doesn't have a character arc per se. And I think by like episode 8, he all of a sudden just magically gets the ability to talk and communicate. And he's just like chill for the rest of the season, which is not great writing, TBH.
Yeah.
Not great. But
you could do something more with him.
Yeah, but and you know what? Okay, tangent, MCU adjacent related tangent. The reason he had a reduced role in this season is because he was filming in Montreal, Quebec, X-Men Days of Future Past as Quicksilver during this time.
I was actually kind of worried that he would join the X-Men clan and then like stop hanging out with Ryan Murphy and friends.
Which, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God the X-Men Fox universe crumbled, rightfully so. So we could have Evan Peters full time where he belongs, giving us range, giving us his acting chops. But yeah, that's a reason why he had such a reduced role in season 3, was because he was spending half his time in Montreal. Also important to know, this is the first season where he and his off-screen girlfriend, Emma Roberts, share a season. And we'll find that occurs through many seasons of AHS. But this is the first time that they're in a season together.
Yes. And yeah, she's part of his main storyline. She's one of the witches that brings him back. This is actually fun, true fact. This is my first season ever of American Horror Story.
Oh, is it? So you went back and watched the other two?
Yes, I did. Well, here's the thing. I didn't go back and watch the other two till like quite recently, because when they initially aired, baby Jolie / almost 30, so scared. It was so scary. I couldn't handle it.
Girl, and Coven, the season's not scary, so that's why you could handle it.
Yeah, and there was like Stevie Nicks songs.
Oh my God, I love her.
It was a whole Stevie Nicks witch vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if I can do this, I can do the other two. And then I went back and watched Adam Levine get his entire body ripped to shreds. And I was like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, season 2 is fucking scary. Oh my goodness. I can't and can we just tangent for a second? Season 2 has arguably the best character of all time in AHS, which is the devil, played by Lily Rabe, the nun. Iconic. Iconic. Oh, I just love like a version of the devil that is just like this sly, like trickster. You know, it's not like a beast version of the devil. It's just this sly, like humanoid, manipulating people around them. Ugh, Asylum is so good.
A total slut. I love it.
Yes.
Just
we love a slutty nun.
Yes. Well, okay.
It's so good. If you can handle scary and you had to choose one season of American Horror Story to watch Asylum, because it is scary and the writing is fantastic. The acting is top notch. Oh, it's so good.
And the cinematography is just gorgeous.
It is.
All the dark corners in that asylum just make it so rich and beautiful.
Totally.
I mean, there are other really great. Anyway, there are other really great seasons, but this one is.
Yeah, like for our listeners in Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, etc. If you have not watched AHS and you can watch one season, watch Asylum. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm manifesting, by the way. I don't know if we have listeners from there, but I'm manifesting.
When you set your intentions early in the day, they're more likely to come true. Anyway.
True. Next is season 4, American Horror Story Freak Show.
Jimmy Darling,
the Lobster Boy. So I'm going to start off with a blanket statement, just blanket overarching comment. Season 4 is my least favorite season of American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. That's not saying much, because it was still pretty okay.
Yeah, I think just what kind of threw me off is this is season 4. So it's set in the 1950s in Florida. Oh, and it's about the last remaining traveling circus / freak show in the United States, which is a great premise. Unfortunately, this was also at the time that Glee was winding down. And there is quite a few musical numbers in this, from songs that came out in the 2000s, in the 90s. And I am no fan of asynchronic performances of music. I didn't like it in The Great Gatsby in 2012 when they were playing like Crazy in Love by Beyonce. I don't like it when music is out of order.
Oh, did you?
It bothers me.
Did you not like A Knight's Tale then?
No.
Or was that appropriate for you?
That part of Knight's Tale I did not like. I don't like it when music is played out of its own era. It bothers me. And American Horror Story Freak Show is the worst offender of that. To tie it back to the tier list, Jimmy Darling does perform Come As You Are by Nirvana.
Ooh.
Appropriately angsty for our main hero. And make no mistake, he is I guess he is the heart of this season, Jimmy Darling. He is the hero, kind of like Kit Walker in that sense. Some highlights of the season include him attending 1950s housewife Tupperware parties where he fingers the housewives in their bedroom. So just some real magic going on. Yet again, he is in a relationship with Emma Roberts' character, who is a con artist this time. So we're also keeping the meta aspect of the Evan and Emma saga intact there. I will say, so this is where we're getting into the ranking. I feel like he had a bit more of an arc in this season because he does have redemption. He does go up against Finn Wittrock, who is arguably the highlight of this season. He plays Dandy Mott, who is a spoiled rich kid. I don't know. That's what I'm going to say about that. He has a better character arc. I don't know if the acting is as strong, but I also don't know if the material he was given was strong enough to elevate. So that's where I'm sitting with that.
I'm fighting between a B and a C for him. Because while Frankenstein's monster didn't talk, he also wasn't, flipping the Real Housewives of Florida, the Florida Everglades.
The Real Housewives of Jupiter, Florida.
Like in my mind, since I started with Coven and then Freak Show came next, I was like, holy crap, Freak Show's amazing. And then the more that I think about it, now that I've watched everything, I'm like, wow, Freak Show is terrible.
It's not my fave. Like, there's good aspects to it. It's also the last season that Jessica Lange was a regular cast member for.
Which I actually don't hate. I thought her character was the most annoying in this season.
I agree. Yeah.
Because I feel like she was singing every episode.
She sang Lana Del Rey's Gods and Monsters. Like, in what universe is that needed? It's
definitely not Earth 616. Like,
no.
Please leave. The characters to me, though, I think were the coolest. Visually, because it's a freak show. I mean,
yes.
The idea, the whole, a freak show is just the best sort of cabinet of curiosities. And then when you throw like that 50s filter over top of it, but okay.
Delicious.
Yeah. C?
It's either C or B after. I think it's worse than Kyle Spencer.
Yeah.
Or a C. I don't know. That's a tricky one. C to me seems, I think it's not, I think it's B. I was just reasoning in my head, like C is like starting to veer towards poor on this scale, like mildly poor. I don't think this was a mildly poor role. This is just like average.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Coming in next, this I believe is 2015 now. Yes, this is October 2015, season 5, American Horror Story Hotel. So this one there's a lot to talk about here. This will fill up our 20 minutes. Evan Peters plays James Patrick March, the creator, the architect of the Hotel Cortez. And as a bit of a history lesson for any of you history buffs, if there's any listeners from Illinois, now's the time to perk up, have your ears at an appropriate angle. The Hotel Cortez and James Patrick March are based off of America's very first serial killer. Those of you in Illinois might know him as H.H. Holmes, the inventor of the murder hotel. And so this happened. Yes, mama. So this occurred during the Chicago World Fair, which was 120 years ago, approximately. I probably have my dates wrong a little bit. I can't remember the exact date for the Chicago World Fair, but
maybe
yeah, it's either late 1800s or early 1900s. It's like right around there.
Like 1891.
Something like, yeah, I think it's like right there. And so H.H. Holmes created the first ever murder castle above a pharmacy that he ran. And this murder castle had dead ends, it had trap doors, it had booby traps, but it was built as a hotel. So he would often check in, usually women traveling by themselves, who were coming from all over the country or from like Canada or from the UK. They were coming to visit the World Fair, and he would check them into the hotel. And, you know, either they would be gassed in their sleep and he would take them down and dissect their body, or he'd, you know, dress up as a murderer and chase them down halls and hunt them down at dead ends and kill them. Like, just really crazy, crazy stuff. And this was all true. If you ever want to read a good book, Devil in the White City is a fantastic, mostly non-fictional recounting of the crimes and, you know, the murders of H.H. Holmes. And so to bring it back to American Horror Story, that's what the character of James March was heavily based on. He created the Hotel Cortez, which has many, many traps in it, you know, fake walls. He bricked people inside of walls to, you know, just kill them, starve them out. So he did some crazy, awful shit. He died in the hotel in American Horror Story, and so his ghost remained there. But while he was alive, he was in a relationship with Lady Gaga in her debut season of American Horror Story as the Countess. And he was in love with her, understandably. But this role, first of all, the accent, top notch. I don't know what I call it, like the old timey news radio accent. There's probably a more appropriate name for it, but that's what I'm calling it. The accent's incredible. The costume's incredible. The acting is incredible. It's very dark. It's a very, very dark role. He's about as irredeemable as Tate Langdon. Disturbing the way he's like cutting up and killing people, and just because he can too. So it's a memorable role, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the great thing too is that you don't even find out about him until like not much later, but like he plays a very background role. When the hotel starts killing people, you think it's just like, okay, this hotel is haunted. Maybe it's the concierge who is killing everybody. And then you see Lady Gaga just like, every time she comes home to her hotel, she flounces in slow motion. And maybe you think maybe it's Lady Gaga killing everybody. But no, sure enough, it's this guy who lives in the walls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're led to believe it's Lady Gaga at first. And don't get me wrong, she lands her few kills for sure. She's thirsty. The girl's thirsty. But yeah, it's mainly James March, who is a mass murderer. So I'm trying to think where he falls, because I think this is a pretty good role. I think it's better than Jimmy. I think it's better than Kyle.
Definitely. But not as good.
Yeah, I'd say about there. Also, fun to note that he does come back for a surprise cameo in season 8, American Horror Story Apocalypse, because a character from season 3, played by Gabori Sidibe, she checks into the Hotel Cortez in season 5, dies there, and so her soul is stuck there. And then in season 8, so 3 years later, she's still stuck there and hanging out with James Patrick March, playing cards, and the devil comes and retrieves her soul just because the devil can. And even James Patrick March, who at that point in the series was the most pervasive villain probably that the AHS universe has established, even James Patrick March is like, what the fuck? Like imagine gagging like Thanos, basically. Like that's the level of like
I live, I laugh.
Yeah. You live, laugh, and you love.
Learn to levitate.
Learn to love. So that is I think that's our so far our ranking of the first 5 seasons of Evan Peters' American Horror Story characters. Oh, yes. Tangent too. We should end on an MCU tangent again. Excuse me. Why is my screen time? Oh, I thought it was reporting on my screen time this week on my phone. This was an X-Men year. This is the cycle for filming X-Men. Evan Peters was filming X-Men Apocalypse during this time, but you wouldn't be able to tell because he's got quite a beefy role in Hotel this time. But this is again where he was flying back and forth between Los Angeles and Montreal to film. So good on him. The boy was doing double duty, but he was filming as Quicksilver at this exact time, which is crazy that they made the schedules work. So good for him.
Yeah, and I love that there's less sad boy and more of a character. I mean, the others energy. Were great characters, but this is like some serial killer shit.
Yeah, and there's like a little bit of sad boy energy because he's like in love with Lady Gaga, but also she's made it clear. She has set boundaries and she has said, no, I'm not into you. So, but just a little bit of sad boy, not as much as Tate.
No. Okay, so we're gonna chop this up into bits. Appropriate. And we're going to break this up into 2 adventures. So if you want to know how we rank the remainder of Evan Peters' American Horror Story characters, you'll have to tune in to episode 2 of our Evan Peters AHS character from Murder House to Double Feature tier list episode. Until next time, listen to us on the comicbooksyndicate.com, YouTube for the video version of this extravaganza. We'll also put up the tier list once the 2nd episode has dropped, which reminds me, I still have to put up our tier list from our MCU list. Yeesh. It's just busy. Okay. And then... the audio version of this podcast is available pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Full Volume Podcast and we'll be there. Check out the Comic Book Syndicate Network. We've got all kinds of fun, but we are the most fun. Till next time. Oh, I have been your co-host, G.I. Jolie.
And I have been Harvey Brent. Boo.
We're so spooky. October 9th. Until next time, keep it loud.
Keep it at full volume.
Bye.
Bye.